Good afternoon, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Nick's Veggie Patch. This one today is only going to be a short one because it's going to be about what I'm going to be planting in October, December time. My plans for next year on Nick's Veggie Patch, I've drawn up a design. I'm going to photocopy it and I'll show you what roughly we're going to be growing next year. I'm also going to tell you briefly what you can still sow now to get a lovely autumn spring harvest, and I'll show you what else is going on Nick's Veggie Patch. Obviously I'm going to be building lots of new stuff. That will be in a longer video, but as I've said, there's lots to get on with, so I'll come back to you guys in a minute and we'll have a wonderful time. Okay, so for this year, for next year's growing season, guys, I've decided to draw a little design, and it's based on the new raised bed that my wife built this year using breeze blocks, and I've kind of sectioned it off to roughly say or roughly show where everything is going to be grown. So we've decided for next year's growing season, we're just gonna concentrate on things we kind of go through a lot of. So obviously in the very top you can see where I've drawn 3 raised beds. So in the very top there you can see things like chard, spinach, and 2 varieties of tomatoes. That may not on this diagram where those 3 different varieties are, they may not end up in those specific raised beds, so we may put the tomatoes in the middle there and then the chard and the spinach either side. But this diagram is just going to give you a rough idea what we've decided we kind of like. So obviously Brussels sprouts, pea asparagus, broad beans. I've got 2 different varieties of broad beans that I'm going to be sowing this year. I'll come on to them in a bit. Kale, runner beans, climbing beans, sweet corn, probably for next growing season, 2 lots, possibly 3 of seed potatoes, and then obviously where all the blank squares are, that's what we're still to decide what's going out. Obviously I've got this raised bed here which was also made out of breeze blocks. That will stay obviously rhubarb, strawberries and fruit trees. We may have to get some more strawberry plants because the weather was so hot this year. We sort of lost a couple of our strawberry plants, so it'll be a case of getting a few more strawberry plants. And then in the corner here by my living room window, we have the 2 planters here, a raised planter and then a planter on the floor. That one will probably hold celery. This one here will hold salady bits. But as I've said, yes, I've written in the boxes of what's going to go in there, but it may not necessarily turn out the way. These 2 may go for salady bits and celery. But basically writing in the boxes is what I know roughly what we're going to plant out. They may not go where obviously they're wrote on the design piece of paper, but yeah, there's still some more to go out. Obviously down here in the bottom is our flower bed with our apple tree, And then in the corner here, we have the compost bin. That is going to be changed because I'm not happy with the design of my compost bin at the moment. So that is going to change. It's not going to have a lid on top of it. It's going to be open. So have 3 sides. I'm going to use pallets. I'm going to make 3 sides, or it'll be 4 sides, but 3 sides. And then the 4th side will be like a door, a hinge door that will open and close. Then I will put a 50-50 mixture in of brown and green stuff to make my compost. And then I will put a piece of cardboard on top, just to make sure it goes through the nice process of composting. So that's showing you the planogram of basically what we'll be sowing next season. And now what I'll do is I'll show you what I'm going to be planting out ready for a harvest for next year. So the first one that I'm going to be planting out for a spring harvest, an early harvest, obviously it's an autumn plant. It's an autumn planting for an early harvest, and that is red winter onion sets. So there's 50 onion sets in here. Obviously versatile for cooking or for salads, good yields, stores well, and obviously, as I've said, autumn planting for an early harvest. Now there's 50 sets in here, so I'll check how good they are and how many I can get out. Obviously with these onion sets, you should plant them at a depth of 3 centimeters, 1 inch, and then when you plant them, obviously apart, should be 12 centimeters and 5 inches apart. So you're planting 3 centimeters and 1 inch down into the ground, but then as you put each individual one into the ground, to keep them separate from each other, obviously you make sure roughly they're 12 centimeters 5 inches apart from each other. Also, make sure they're in well drained soil. You can always use a good fertilizer to get them moving on nicely, and then hopefully you'll get a wonderful crop of onions. Once you've harvested them, leave them, if the weather's nice, leave them on top of the soil once you've dug them up, just to allow them to kind of dry out a little bit. And yeah, you should have a good lot of onions. So that's one of the first ones I'll be sowing out for a harvest next year. The next 2 I'm going to be showing you are garlic. So this year I'm only going to be doing 2 lots of garlic and not the 3 or 4 that I normally do. The first one I'm going to be doing, it's a variety called Mesodrome. 2 French garlic cloves in there. It's a soft neck variety, again an autumn planting, and it's an early and high yielding medium flavored garlic. So I've never sown that, I've never grown that one before, but that's the one, but that is one that I'm going to give it a go. Again with this, with your garlic, plant below the surface 3 centimeters to 1 inch, and then 10 centimeters to 4 inches apart from each other. Just go careful when you're breaking out the cloves, so you don't want to damage any. And if you do damage any, I wouldn't really plant them in the ground. And the second variety. It isn't really, well, it's not normally classed as a variety of garlic, but I'm going to be doing elephant garlic. It's 2 big cloves in here. It says you get yields giant bulbs. Is excellent for roasting or raw in salads, and again, plant in autumn to have an early spring harvest. So yeah, they're the 2 varieties of garlic I'm going to be doing this year. I've also got 2 different varieties of broad beans. So the first one I'm going to be doing is Demonica. So both spring and in the autumn. And the other one I'm going to be sowing is Veroma. Incredibly tasty beans, and again, so October to April. So yeah, they're what I'm going to be planting out this year and sowing, hopefully, for a wonderful harvest for next year. Right, so there are still things you can sow in September for an autumn harvest or a harvest for next year. So there's quite a few things. I won't go through them all, but there are certain types of salad that you can sow now to harvest throughout the winter time. A lovely gentleman that I follow on YouTube called Charles Dowding. He's a market seller, so his main outlet is obviously salads, and he does about 4 sowings every year, as well as growing other fruits and vegetables. Salads is his main outlet, so he does around about 4 sowings, and he'll also have some sowings ready now to harvest over the winter period, Christmas time, just after Christmas. So I've picked out 3 seed packets that I'm going to be sowing in September. There may be a few more once I go through all my seed packets to have a look to see what I think I can sow to either put out or sow and grow undercover. But the first one, it's radish, and it's a variety called Cherry Bell. It's an easy to grow salad crop. You can sow it in between March to September. You'll get a harvest in about 4 weeks after sowing. It's a good variety. It's a good source of vitamin C, potassium, and beneficial sulfur compounds. As I say, cherry shaped with crisp, mild flavour. So yeah, that's a variety of radish I'm going to be putting out. And then I've got some kale that I'm going to be planting out, that I've bought from a garden centre. That's up on my patio at the moment, still in the container it came in, but I'm going to sow 2 other varieties of kale for an autumn sort of spring harvest. The first one, it's called Ethiopian Amara, I think that is. So tender and mild Texel greens. As you can see, you can sow from March through to September, and you'll get a harvest in between June and March, the following year. So yeah, I'm going to be giving that one a go. That is Mr. Fothergill's. The other one I'm going to be sowing, and it's one of mine and my wife's favourite kales that we like to cook, and this is called Nero di Toscana. A lovely, vibrant, leafy green kale there. Again, so March to September, and again so harvest from June to March next year. We do like that one. That's obviously from Mr. Fothergills again, and I get all these seed packets free when I get my kitchen garden magazine. So if you want to subscribe to a gardening magazine, for me personally, this is the best one to subscribe to. The website address is at the bottom. I do mine over a monthly subscription, and each month when my magazine comes through, you get 3 different varieties of seeds, and this is one of them. So yeah, so I'm going to be sowing 2 lots of kale, 1 lot of radish. I'm also going to be planting out 1 lot of kale that I brought from a garden centre. So yeah, there's lots going to be sown and a couple of things planted out, but that's all going to be for a nice spring harvest next year. Okay guys, that is it for another episode of Nick's Veggie Patch. As always guys, I want to thank you for watching the video, subscribing and liking the video. And if you know anyone else who is interested in this type of video, then get them to take a look at my channel, and also get them maybe to subscribe to other channels that I follow, like Charles Dowding, Grow Veg, which is Benedict Van Heem's, Jesse at Plot 37. So yeah, there's quite a few other people that I follow and subscribe to. But yeah, take a look at them guys. And as always, stay safe. And I will see you for another episode of Nick's Veggie Patch real shortly. Enjoy the rest of your weekend guys. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye for now.